by the folks at Black and Astor. Let's do this. I know that you're ready to go with the new season, but we have to talk about Tim Tebow because you're here.
Yeah, sure.
Former New York Giant receiver Amani Toomer weighs in on the Jets quarterback situation. Said Toomer of Tim Tebow, here's a guy all the pundits say what he can't do, that he can't play. These are guys he probably looked up to growing up. All of a sudden, you get your opportunity to be on the big stage, and all these guys are talking bad about you, and he still, no matter what happens in the fourth quarter, he makes plays and wins games. There's something to be said about that. I think the Jets realized that when it happened to them in Denver. I think they fully believe in him. I don't see Sanchez being the starter the entire season. Is he right?
You know, I completely and utterly agree with what Amani is saying. And I applaud him for standing up and having the guts to stand by what he said basically at midseason. But it seemed like in your locker room that there was joy. Again, Peyton's the greatest regular season quarterback ever, but there was almost like good riddance joy about we're out from under Tim Tebow. Am I misreading that?
Not necessarily. I mean, Peyton is a Hall of Famer, and he's a great player, and I think, Tim Tebow, he's still improving. He's a young quarterback, and you have your trial and tribulations as a young quarterback. I mean, Peyton's proven in this league, and everyone's excited.
Okay, I see him beating out Mark Sanchez by no later than midseason. Would you agree?
I have to say I agree. I feel like it would be the same type of deal that happened in Denver with Kyle Orton, in which the fans, if Sanchez isn't playing well, the fans will pressure them into starting Tebow.
Oh, so you think the fans pressured Elway and Fox into having to go to Tebow?
It was a little bit. And, I mean, Orton didn't play well in that Charger game where he got benched. And, they didn't really have a choice, and sometimes it comes down to that.
Now, you talk about quarterback controversies and situations you went through in your locker room. I went through one, you probably were still in junior high school, with Rob Johnson and Doug Flutie.
Buffalo.
Yeah, in Buffalo. And there were some comparisons to make here. Doug Flutie was told that he could not play quarterback in the NFL for different reasons. For the physical measurables. He was too short, didn't have the arm for it. We've heard the same thing about Tim Tebow, people saying his technique, his style of play doesn't translate to NFL. And then there was this prototype there, and that was Rob Johnson. And then you look at a Mark Sanchez, and this is how I saw it and deciphered it in Buffalo, and I see it playing out in the same thing in New York. When a team gives a backup quarterback a press conference, that is team supported. And when a team does that, that's letting you know what that team thinks of that player. With that said, I remember that when Doug Flutie got his opportunity, he seized the moment. And I think Mark Sanchez, as good as he is at times, is inconsistent at times. And in those lows, that's when Tim Tebow will get his opportunity in those spurts to show his greatness. And then when those two hit, and then the fans' pressure, and then the team's pressure of saying, we already know what we're going to get out of Sanchez. That's all reliable, but that is not going to get us over the hump. Let's try the new thing. Let's go with the upside. Let's go with the unknown, and that is Tim Tebow in this locker room.
Yep.
And then when all those things hit in a perfect storm, I think Tim Tebow actually will be the starter.
But you're a fan of Tebow. You even got a picture with Tebow up on your Twitter.
I'm a fan of Tebow, but I'm saying this without the bias, because the same way that I saw Rob Johnson lose his position because of injury, I think Mark Sanchez may lose it because of injury. But it may be a psyche injury. It might be a mental injury, because people don't have confidence in him. And if you talk about a guy who can make you play better, that's a guy who has the building blocks of building that confidence with teammates. I don't see Mark Sanchez having that leadership capability.
I agree.
And the teammates have already said that.
Ryan, do you believe Tebow got too much credit for winning 7 of his first 8 starts last year?
I mean, I feel like he played very well at the end of a lot of those games. But I think our defense had to be one of the number one reasons we won those games.
You think it was the number one?
For sure, because, I mean, we wouldn't be able to end those games if they didn't play well. And they played lights out in that streak of wins we had.
How about the end of the Jets game in Denver on that Thursday night? 95 yards, 12 plays?
Like I said, I mean, he did play well at the end of games and at stretches at
But
times.
it just seemed to me, once he was gone, I heard no thanks for the memories from anybody in the Broncos locker room, except maybe Brian Dawkins. I'm not even sure he'll be back. But he was a big Tebow supporter because they bonded spiritually. And yet, I didn't hear much thank you to Tim Tebow. Did you sense that?
Not really. I felt like people were thankful what Tebow did for the Broncos in that year, in that stretch. I don't think there was any resentment there.
What was the general mood, though? Was it that he was moved out? Was it relief? Was there sadness? Was there excitement? I mean, clearly Peyton coming in, but
I mean, there was a little excitement for change, and Peyton Manning. Everyone wanted Peyton Manning.
Can't argue with that.
no.
Yeah, but
everyone wanted him. So
I think
I'm surprised we got him.
if the locker room assessment of Tim Tebow was that we're not going to give him a lot of the credit, more the lion's share of the credit, I think that's a disservice to what Tim Tebow did, because just like Peyton Manning and his absence from the Colts deflated the special teams, deflated the defense, the same way Tim Tebow in that lineup inflated and made everyone feel better and played better. And it's hard to really articulate, but you can see it. When Tim Tebow came in the lineup, regardless of your position, you play better at that position. And when you find a player like that and that uniqueness, you just got to run with it. And I think that Coach Rex Ryan and the Jets organization feel like they have that special player now, even though right now he's slotted as a backup.
Yeah. Bottom line, Ryan, do you see Tebow being a long-term starter in this league?
I think with improvements, I think for sure he can be a good starter in this league.
Come back to haunt the Broncos?
We'll see.
Be careful now. You got to go back and play.
You always have to mark your words. Be careful what you say, because in this league, they might come back to get you. Ryan, we appreciate you coming in. Ryan, again, brought to us from the folks of Astor and Black. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Enjoy your day on campus here.
Appreciate it.
All right. We're going to take a